Hello Year 3, welcome to today's English lesson. You might have noticed something different about my video today, that you can see me. Mr. Bailey has installed some software onto my laptop so that I am able to do this now, which hopefully is a bit better. So if we could start by writing today's date and title in your book as we would usually. Monday the 1st of February, and we are going to do some English. So we're going to start by reading a story today in English, and it's a story that's called The Hare and the Tortoise, or you might have heard it called The Tortoise and the Hare. So there are different versions of the story, and people give it different titles, always including the same two characters though, always a hare and a tortoise, but sometimes they're just round the other way. So let's have a read of the story. Okay, The Hare and the Tortoise. A hare was one day making fun of a tortoise. "You're a slow coach," he said. "You couldn't run if you tried." "Don't you laugh at me," said the tortoise. "I bet that I could beat you in a race." "Couldn't," replied the hare. "Could," said the tortoise. "All right," said the hare. "I'll race you. But I'll win, even with my eyes shut." They asked a passing fox to set them off. "Ready, steady, go," said the fox. The hare went off at a great pace. He got so far ahead, he decided he might as well stop for a rest. Soon he fell asleep. The tortoise came plodding along, never stopping for a moment. When the hare woke up, he ran as fast as he could to the finishing line. But he was too late. The tortoise had already won the race. And there he is, cheering himself on with his little cake, celebrating that he came first. Okay, so you might have already heard that story, you might have already read it. It's a very well-known story. It is a special type of story that is called a fable. And a fable is a story that teaches you a lesson. And the lesson that it tries to teach you is always called a moral. So the lesson is always different. Every fable has a different lesson that it's trying to teach you, something to live your life by, to be a better person. And that lesson is called a moral. So it has morals that it's trying to teach you, okay? So think about the story that we just read, the story of the hare and the tortoise, or the tortoise and the hare. What do you think that fable was trying to teach you? What moral do you think that fable has? And think about what happens in the story. You've got the hare who is really bragging about how fast he is. "I'm really fast, I bet I can beat you in a race, even with my eyes shut." And then you've got the tortoise who is obviously really slow. The hare gets a bit ahead of himself, sets off really quick, and then decides, "Oh, you know what, I'm so far ahead, I'm just going to lay down and stop and have a little bit of a nap," which he does. He thinks, "I can beat the tortoise even if I do stop and have a nap halfway round." He ends up sleeping for way longer than he planned, but the tortoise is there, never giving up, even though he knows he's so much slower than the hare, but he's plodding along one step at a time, going. And what actually happens is the tortoise ends up winning the race because the hare ends up being a bit too sure of himself and sleeping for a bit too long, and it ends up, by the time he wakes up, he then can't catch up with the tortoise and ends up losing the race. So I wonder if you can think about what you think that fable is trying to teach you. What do you think the character of the tortoise is trying to teach you that it's really important to do? He just keeps going and going. So I want you to have a really good think about that. And I've got a sentence starter at the bottom here. I think the moral of this fable is, so I would like you to write that sentence in your book and finish it off with what you think the moral of the fable is, okay? So pause the video here and have a go at doing that now. Okay, let's have a look then. So the moral of the fable, The Hare and the Tortoise, is slow and steady wins the race. You might have heard that phrase already. If you wrote something like be resilient, keep going, never give up, that's also great because that is also what that fable is trying to teach you as well. So they are all fantastic morals that you could have written, okay? The fable is trying to teach you that you'll be more successful doing things slowly and carefully, like the tortoise, rather than rushing off and being careless, like the hare. And there are many different versions of this fable, but they all share the same moral. They all have the same lesson that they're trying to teach you. So here I've got a different version of the story that has the same lesson. I'm not going to read this one to you. I'd like you to pause the video here and take some time to read this yourself. Off you go. Okay, so hopefully you've had a go at reading that yourself. As you can see, it's the same story. They've changed the order of the characters in the title. They call it The Tortoise and the Hare, but it's the same moral, the same lesson that it's trying to teach you overall. Okay, so we're now going to read another fable. This time I am going to read it to you. Okay, this fable is called The Lion and the Mouse. So I'm going to read this one to you, so listen carefully. One day, a proud lion was asleep in the wood, his great head resting on his paws. A timid mouse came upon him unexpectedly, and in her fright and haste to get away, ran across the lion's nose. Roused from his nap, the lion laid his huge paw angrily on the tiny creature, ready to gobble her up. "Spare me," begged the poor mouse. "Please let me go, and someday I will surely repay you." The lion was amused to think that a mouse could ever help. But he was generous and finally let the mouse go. Some days later, while stalking his prey in the forest, the lion was caught in a hunter's net. Unable to free himself, he filled the forest with his angry roaring. The mouse knew that voice and quickly found the lion struggling in his net. Running to one of the great ropes that bound him, she gnawed it until it parted, and soon the lion was free. "You laughed at me when I said I would repay you," said the mouse. "Now you see that even a mouse can help a lion." Okay. So, this fable of the lion and the mouse. Here, I've got 3 morals for you, okay? I want you to think which of these 3 morals best matches this fable. Which lesson do you think this fable is trying to teach you? So do you think it is to always tell the truth? Do you think it is that kindness is never wasted? So we should always be kind to other people. And not just be kind to other people because we think that they're going to be able to help us in return, that we should be kind to everybody, even if they can't do anything to help us in return? Or do you think it is do not cheat? So which lesson do you think that fable is trying to teach you? And I've got a sentence starter here for you to write in your book. I think the moral that matches the fable is, and then choose one of these 3 morals to fill that sentence with in your book. Off you go. Okay, let's have a look. So the answer was kindness is never wasted. So well done, thumbs up if you managed to get that correct. It means that in this fable, the lion didn't think that the mouse would ever be able to repay him. But he decided to help the mouse anyway and let her go. But he thought, oh, you know, she's never going to be able to do anything for me. A tiny little mouse for a great big lion like me. What's the mouse going to be able to do to help me? But actually, it turned out that the mouse was able to help him in the future. So it's trying to teach you that in life, You should always be kind and help everybody, not just because you think that they're going to be able to do something in return to help you, but just because it's a nice, kind thing to do. Okay, the last fable of today's lesson that we're going to read is The Ant and the Grasshopper. So far we've had the hare and the tortoise, the lion and the mouse, and the ant and the grasshopper. So what do you notice about the three names of those fables? Just have a think to yourself now. What have they all got in common? Be thinking about that, okay? And I'm now going to read the story of the ant and the grasshopper to you. In a field one summer's day, a grasshopper was relaxing, eating as much grass as he could. When his tummy was full, he began to play some music. He hopped about, playing happily. Slowly, an ant passed him by, carrying an ear of corn. "Why not come and sing with me?" called the grasshopper. "No," replied the ant. "I'm busy collecting food to prepare for the winter. I recommend that you do the same." "Oh, why bother about winter?" said the grasshopper. "We've got plenty of food and it's a beautiful sunny day." But the ant shook his head and went on his way. He continued with his hard work all day, walking slowly past the grasshopper with his corn. "What a silly ant," said the lazy grasshopper. "He should worry about winter when it is winter." When winter finally came and the snow was on the ground, the grasshopper had no food. The ant and his family had plenty to eat from the stores of grain he had collected in the summer. "Please, can I have some of your food?" begged the grasshopper. "You can spare a little bit of corn." "No," shouted the ant. "You said I was silly." So the grasshopper was hungry all winter. He learned a very hard lesson. Okay, what do you think the moral of this fable is? What do you think it's trying to teach you? Have a go at writing that down in your book using the sentence starter that's in yellow here. I think the moral of this fable is. So what do you think? Think about the character of the ant and what he's busy doing during the summer, while the grasshopper is busy just lazing about, having a bit of a chill out, thinking, oh, it's a lovely sunny day, I'm going to just play some music, while the ant's busy working. And then what happened in the end. So think about, what is that story, that fable, trying to teach you? So pause the video here and have a go at writing that sentence out into your book. Off you go. Okay, welcome back. So here at the bottom of the fable, we have got the moral that it's trying to teach you is to work hard today to be prepared for tomorrow. So if you wrote something along the lines of working hard to prepare yourself for the future, that's what it's trying to teach you, not just living today and thinking, well, I've got enough for what I need for today, but actually thinking ahead to the future and putting the important things first, doing the important things that you need to do now. And then when you've done the important things, anytime you've got left over, you can then sit and relax, enjoy the sun, play some music when you're prepared and you've done the important things. I wonder if you can think, which of the 7 habits does that link to? Have a think. Write down in your book which of the 7 habits, working hard first before you then do the things that you enjoy and relax, those kind of things. Well, I wonder what habit that relates to. Pause the video here and have a go at writing that down. Okay, so I've chosen 2 habits that I think it relates to. Habit 2, begin with the end in mind, because that's about having a plan and thinking ahead to what you might need in the future, not just thinking, well, I'm sorted for today, I've got everything that I need for today, but actually thinking, okay, Where do I want to be in the future? What do I want to achieve? What do I need to do today in order to achieve those goals? And also habit 3, put first things first. Work first, then play. Do the important things first, which is what the ant was doing. And that's how the ant ended up having loads of food to eat over the winter, and the grasshopper had to go hungry all winter. So that's the moral of that story. That's what it's trying to teach you. Okay, so far, things that we have learned in this English lesson is we have learned that a fable always has a moral, and we know that a moral is a lesson that it's trying to teach you to live your life by, to be a better person. Now, going back to the question I asked you before, what do you notice about the characters in the fables that we've read so far? So we've read the hare and the tortoise, the lion and the mouse, and the ant and the grasshopper. So have a think, what do you notice about them? And I've got another sentence starter here. I noticed that the characters in the fables are, so have a go at completing that sentence in your book. Pause the video here. Okay. So usually the characters in fables are animals. So well done if you picked up on that and you noticed that. And usually there are 2 main animal characters, and the name of the fable is named after those 2 characters. So like the hare and the tortoise, the grasshopper and the ant, the lion and the mouse. So well done if you picked up on that and you noticed that. If you noticed anything else, then well done, and I'm looking forward to seeing your work on Seesaw so we can have a look at how you got on with that. Okay, so your activity for today's English lesson is to create an information poster all about fables for somebody who doesn't know what a fable is. Okay, now you can be creative with how you present your poster, how you lay it out on the page. Information that you do need to make sure you include is you need to include what a fable is. So a fable is a special type of story that tries to teach you a lesson. Okay, you need to include what a moral is. So a moral is a lesson that you should follow in your life to be a better person. And also you can include that usually the characters in a fable are animals. Usually there's 2 main animals in the fable, and the fable is usually named after them. You can include some examples of fables that we've read in today's lesson, and also morals that we've looked at in today's lesson too. So you can be completely creative with how you lay your poster out. You can have fables written across the middle of your page and information around the outside. You could have fables written at the top of your page and then information underneath it. You can draw some lovely pictures to go with it. You might want to draw the hare and the tortoise and the lion and the mouse and the ant and the grasshopper. Really, really let yourself go with this and make it as informative and as creative as you possibly can. And we really look forward to seeing them on Seesaw. Well done.